Hey mama, are you feeling burdened? Are you feeling like pregnancy is a burden and that you are really struggling? If so, join in for today's episode where I give you a couple of tips on how to deal with overcoming some of those burdening feelings that pregnancy can bring. Hi, I'm Jocelyn, host of the Positive in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast. I help pregnant women and mothers to find positivity in their season of life through changing their thoughts to work for them and not against them. I help mothers find the small, doable steps in thought and action without making drastic changes to their everyday mom life, and I can help you. Thanks for joining. Sometimes pregnancy can feel very hard. Actually, a lot of the times there are all sorts of changes and symptoms that can feel like burdens in pregnancy. And I want to challenge you to try an exercise that I haven't done for a little bit here on this podcast, but I think is a valuable exercise to help you release some of that negative emotion. I'm going to tell you what to do, and then I want you to pause the podcast and actually do it. It's a mental mindset exercise. It doesn't take you really doing anything other than thinking or saying things out loud. I want you to think or say all of the ways that pregnancy feels like a burden to you right now and start listing them. Okay, so pause the podcast and start doing that. And once you've done it and you've kind of run out of all the ways pregnancy feels like a burden, restart the podcast and we will talk again and I will give you some tips. But this is actually the first tip, so give that a go. Okay, I did leave a little blank space so that you could pause it, but we are going to keep going. Listing out your negative emotions or saying them out loud is actually a good way to realize that they're there and to release them. Sometimes we do need to get it out instead of keeping it bottled up. Release those emotions. Say them. Say why you're feeling burdened. Say, I feel burdened because pregnancy makes me sicker than crap and I can't do anything. And just kind of let it out. If you are at a spot in your pregnancy where you feel like you can write, you could do a deeper exercise of this and write it all down. And then once you have it all written down, you rip it up and you throw it away because it's garbage. It is garbage that we don't want to keep. Feeling burdened and heavy is not something we want to feel all the time. We want to get better at finding positive thoughts and positive feelings. But if we keep bottling ourselves up during pregnancy and not allowing those negative emotions to be released in some way or another, they will stay inside until we explode or until we get angry at someone or until we are impatient. So that is actually the first tip to help unburden you in pregnancy is to list out, write it down if you can, all of the negative emotion. For those typers, you could even type it out. Don't save it though because it's garbage. And then print it and rip it up. There's something like really satisfying about ripping up your garbage and just throwing it away and getting rid of it. Because as you throw it away and get rid of it, you will be able to be more you. You won't be so weighed down by the garbage that you can be more you, more happy, and find room for the positive thoughts that you deserve to think, that you should think, and that are going to be a lot more enjoyable to think than the fact that pregnancy is a burden. Now that you've listed and got rid of all of that negative emotion, I want you to try and bring some positivity back, especially surrounding pregnancy. But before we do that, I want you to go to a different room. Sometimes while we're pregnant, we tend to stay in the same few places, whether that's on the bed, on the couch, in your front room, in the recliner, wherever your typical spot is that you probably are at, I want you to switch. And I want you to change your scenery and go to a different room. While you're in that different room, I want you to begin to think of all the amazing things that pregnancy can do. pregnancy is growing your baby. Your body is growing another human inside, your posterity inside, who has your genes and your husband's genes and genetics. And your body is doing that without you telling it to. The cells are dividing and multiplying and creating little baby body parts and forming a sweet little infant within your womb. Begin to dwell on these facts and choose to think about the miracle that pregnancy is and how amazing it is that our bodies can grow and stretch and form another human inside. You have 2 heartbeats. Your food consumption, what you eat, is feeding your baby. There are so many cool things about pregnancy that you can think about instead of how it is a burden. Now, as I recognized earlier, you do have to release those burdens or they are going to stay there. But then choose to think about the miracles. Look up some miracles. Follow some birth stories or pregnancy encouragement. Listen to other episodes of this podcast to encourage you when you are feeling down. And then the third tip that I want to share for this podcast episode is to breathe. During pregnancy, especially if you're in the later phase of pregnancy, it can get really hard to breathe, like to get deep breaths. Your body is just, you've got a baby close to your lungs, and the amount of space you have has been taken up, and it can be hard. So sometimes we get even shallower in our breathing, but I want you to do some deep breathing. I'm going to give you a few options. Choose which one will work best for you. First, you can just do deep breaths in through the nose, deep breaths out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth. You can just do deep breaths in through the mouth, in through the mouth, out through the mouth, in through the mouth, out through the mouth. You can try 4-7-8 breathing, which is one of my favorite breathing techniques. It's to breathe in for 4, hold it for 7, release for 8. Breathe in for 4, hold it for 7, release for 8. Whatever feels best and most natural for you, just take some time to do a little bit of deep breathing. In and out. Remember that you are amazing, your body is amazing, and your mind is amazing. And you have the agency and the ability to choose what thoughts go in on your mind. Release that negative emotion so that you can feel the positive emotion. I want you to find a positive pregnancy, and if you are struggling and feel like you need extra help, I have a mini course. Well, I keep calling it a mini course, but it actually has 42 videos on it, and it is mental boosters. They are 2 to 6 minutes long, and they can help mentally boost you when you are just feeling like this is the hardest thing I have ever done, and I don't know how I'm going to keep going. They are videos that run you through mindset exercises that begin to shift, that begin to help you shift to find more positivity and less mental anguish during pregnancy. If that interests you, it is the top link in the show notes, and I encourage you to look into it. It's called the Positive Pregnancy Program. My first tip in this episode was to do just that. Release the negative emotion by listing it, saying it, or writing it down. The second tip was to go to a different space or a different room in your house, outside even, and begin to think about all the miracles of pregnancy. I even listed some in this episode. And the third tip is to do some type of deep breathing. I am cheering for you, Mama. You can do this. You can find the blessing in pregnancy and release some of the burden that it carries, especially the mental burden that it can carry on your mind. Keep up the good work. Thank you for sharing, but most of all, thank you for implementing. Until next time. Thank you for being a part of the Positive in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast, for listening, for sharing, and most of all, for applying these tools into your own life to improve your own happiness so that you can find your own better thoughts, for a better you, in a positive pregnancy, in losing that stubborn baby weight, and becoming the mom you desire to be, through taking small steps in thought and action to reach your goals. If you are a mother who has an inner desire to enjoy motherhood and pregnancy better, but you are having difficulty figuring it out, I can help you. I can help you find the small, doable steps without drastic changes to your everyday mom life. Reach out, let's connect, and let's see you move forward. My name is Jocelyn, and I thank you for listening. Until next time.